Howdy folks, this is Checkers, and this of course is Fallout 4, but I thought we might take some time to talk about Fallout 76. And, well, mostly it's going to be speculation, and of course I'm once again making videos in a time when I don't normally, so you're going to hear birds and the occasional automatron, so bear with me. Now,
apologize for the odd noises I'm currently emitting.
That-
Consequence of being mechanical in nature.
Yeah. Anyway, so by now I'm sure most of you will have heard the rumors that Fallout 76 will be multiplayer and perhaps even a survival game. And let's talk a little bit about that up front. Bethesda and Todd Howard have said that they choose to focus on single-player experiences, but they've also said, and Todd Howard specifically, that they design a multiplayer aspect to every game, and then they scrap it. They use it as a sort of exercise. This all being said, they have actually made a multiplayer shooter. It was back in the 90s, I think it was maybe around 96 or 97. It was called Terminator. It was a Terminator franchise game, and it was awesome. I loved that game. Honestly can't remember if I ever played it multiplayer, but I do remember really enjoying the game. So, of course that's like at least 11 years ago, right? Or is it 21? 21. Numbers and me. Anyway, so that doesn't necessarily automatically make them capable of making a first-person game, or sorry, a multiplayer game right now. But looking on back at the history of Bethesda, if you'd have told me when Oblivion came out that they were going to offer me horse armor for 99 cents, I'd have laughed. If you'd have told me in 2015 that they were going to try and take over the modding community and then attach a price tag to things, I'd have laughed at that too. There is definitely someone at Bethesda or ZeniMax who has their eye on the dollar prize. And if they saw the massive success of something like Ark, I can certainly see them putting pressure on the rest of Bethesda, on the team, to adapt something. Is that what happened? I don't know. That is all speculation. It's all speculation right now. We have no hard evidence. And anyone can report anything they want, anyone can say anything they want, because we don't have evidence. I could theorize to you that it's going to be a multiplayer, massively multiplayer online game, and there will be traditional grinding, and you'll have escort quests, and you'll be able to buy mounts. But that's, nothing but wild imagination. So at this point, the only hard evidence we have is the trailer that we just saw. And even though we have wiki lore mentions of Vault 76, we have it mentioned in Mothership Zeta and by the announcer at the start of Fallout 4, Bethesda has, of course, more than often proven to be able to retcon. People often have mentioned to me, because I did the whole video on the evolution of Khajiit, that, well, Khajiit were different in Arena and Daggerfall because of the moons. That is retcon. Khajiit were the way they were in Arena and Daggerfall because adding models for armor and weapons that may have been different for Khajiits would have been too much memory, would have been too hard. So they got tails slapped on. And there you go. and then later on down the lines, the moons make them look different. It's creative, it's clever, but it's still retconning. So I'm not knocking them for this. It's their lore, it's their world. You know, it's an excellent way to explain away a technical limitation. My point, however, is that although there may be existing lore, there may be existing hearsay references to Vault 76, we have no evidence, no hard evidence of anything. We, as the player character, have never experienced Vault 76. So they can do what they want with it. Looking at a map, just listening to the lyrics, you know, Rocky Mountains, Shenandoah River, Blue Ridge Mountains, West Virginia, from the song Country Roads, we can see that that places it in a very specific general location, and that's very close to Washington, D.C. And that meets up with some of the lore of Vault 76. I've heard people say that, you know, it could be that Vault 76 were some of the first indications of raiders, but if we look at the vault, if we look in the trailer, we don't see any drastic issues with sorry, it's really hard to ignore shooting in the game. We don't see any evidence of raiding. We don't see any weapons. We don't see any stockpiles of ammunition that we would need to go out raiding. We don't see any piles of loot that we've brought back from raiding. What we see essentially looks like a 4th of July party that got abandoned quickly, although we can generally assume it's somewhere in October. We don't necessarily know exactly when the party took place, but looking at the confetti, looking at the banners, these things are all relatively recent. They weren't aged or yellowed or withered with time. Even just the time of a few weeks or months. Everything looks pristine. The laundry is folded on top of the laundry machines. There are boxes of food in the dining room scene. There is food on the plate in the dining room scene. None of this suggests to me that the vault was hit by raiders or that the vault dwellers are themselves raiders. What it suggests to me is, at this point, a mystery. Everything is pristine. Food, essential items that, remember, these are vault dwellers. They've been indoctrinated for at least the last 25 years and 4 days that you need to be prepared when you step into the outside world because there may be nothing there that you can use. Your only good source of supplies may come from us. And there are supplies on the table. So no one scurried out in a rush because the air filtration system died, or we don't see any evidence of water damage or fire damage or any other elemental damage. We don't see any signs of combat. The most disruptive thing we see is a glass knocked over on the dining room table, but the chairs are pushed in. So it's not like they jumped out of their chairs and ran, because they took the time to push the chairs back under the table. There is a mystery here, aside from why that gunner decided to plummet to his death. It's raining gunners. Well, you know, they need a hobby. So, what can we say? We know that something happened in the vault. Something got the vast majority of dwellers out. We see evidence of only one person, but we see them in what looks like, you know, a dark space. Could be the vault entrance. We don't see them in any of the living quarter areas. We don't see them in the atrium. All of these things are completely abandoned. So it could be someone who just came in, could be someone who's on their way out the door. We don't know. As for whether or not Fallout 76 will be a survival game, well, I can see that happening. I've long predicted that survival and role-playing games are going to merge. Not entirely. I don't think they're going to become one genre and the other two, RPGs and survival games will go the way of the dodo, but I do think they will merge to create a new survival RPG. I mean, survival games are more than halfway there, and Fallout 4 is an RPG that comes more than halfway to survival. So it's a logical progression. In an RPG, you want your choices to have an effect on the world, and yes, I know Fallout 4's choices don't always, if ever, have much meaning in the world, but ideally in your RPG you want your character to be able to make changes to the world, and survival games are about making changes to the world. When you can build, when you can construct or deconstruct an item, when you can change the shape of the terrain, when you can change the outcome of events, you're partially in that survival world and you're partially in the RPG world. So I don't really have a problem if it's a, survival RPG. Will it be that? Again, right now that's speculation and rumor. No one has given me any hard evidence, and a reporter saying this is the way it is. Well, okay, I don't know what your source is. You're not telling me and you're not giving me hard evidence. I can't just take you at your word. That's not the way the world works. You want to prove something to me, you prove it by evidence, not because I say so. And that's not to knock this guy. Maybe the guy does have hard evidence that he can't share. That's irrelevant to me. Our truth, at least my truth, is based on the evidence that I can see. And right now, our only evidence is the trailer. Not the wiki lore, not what's been said in other Fallout games, because we know Bethesda can change that sort of thing. Our truth comes from the trailer. And to me, right now, the trailer is awesome. I mean, it looks amazing, but it looks like a mystery too. What happened? And I find that to some degree exciting. If it's a survival game, will I play it? Of course. Unless it is strictly PvP. The only thing that could possibly stop me from playing it would be a sole focus on PvP. But so long as it's something that I can do, I will do it. Yeah. Did we cover everything? Well, I think there is one more thing I want to think about. On the idea of whether or not they could actually complete a multiplayer version. Now, I think people look at like Fallout 4 here and think, oh, well, how is this different than like Call of Duty or Battlefield or any other shooter? There are a lot of differences between Fallout and your average shooter. First off is persistence. We throw a weapon on the ground, we have a reasonable chance of coming back a month from now to find that gun still on the ground. Fallout, the Creation Engine, Skyrim, these games are amazing at their level of persistence of items within the world. No other game does this. No game that I know of. And they do it at a minimal cost in save games. So I've seen developers mock Bethesda and their engine, but you know what? I've not seen anyone create an engine capable of doing the same. Certainly not for the low cost of their save games, or anywhere near the level of persistence of items. This is something unique, and undoubtedly it's a problem that they have to solve to create a new engine for themselves. This is no small feat we're talking about. I am sure that somewhere in Bethesda people are still worrying every day at how they are going to replicate the features of this engine in something new. Could moving multiplayer into that adding multiplayer to that mix could be something they really do want to achieve. When Todd Howard says we don't have the technology, he may flat out be talking about the engine. Do they have access to people who can help them with multiplayer? Absolutely. Could they import people from id to come over and give them a hand? Unquestionably. Did they do that? We don't know. In a lot of ways, we look at Bethesda in the same way that we look at the stars in the sky. What I mean by that is, when we look at the stars in the sky that we can't see because of the clouds in the daytime, well, the stars issued their light thousands of years ago. What we see with our eyes today is the past of those stars. We don't see the current truth of Bethesda. We see the changes after they happen. So Bethesda, there was a car falling down the hillside over there. When Bethesda makes a change, say deciding to change how they are going to deal with modding community, we don't see it when they make that decision. We see it months or years down the line when they implement it. Because Bethesda has not focused on multiplayer games, we can presume that's the way that they're going to continue, but we have no evidence. Looking at that starlight, we don't see the current, we see the past. Looking at Bethesda, we don't know what's going on behind the doors. We don't know what's going on in their meetings. We see the past, and we won't know their present or future until they reveal it to us. Some of which we might get at their pre-E3 presentation on June 10th, we can hope. And some of it we may not see for years yet to come. I think, we do have plenty to be excited for. And even if you don't enjoy the base building aspects of Fallout 4, and I know there are folks who don't, I don't blame you. You enjoy your games the way you want to enjoy them. I am absolutely fine with that. I play Diablo 3. A lot of the fun for Diablo 3 for me is getting gear and then sifting it through to other characters who can use it better. I love sorting that kind of stuff. That's what makes Diablo fun for me. Even more than just going out and getting loot. It's like, okay, who can use this? I dig that sorting, man. And to some degree, I think developers have to acknowledge that people play games not in the way that they design them, but in the way they want to enjoy them. So hopefully Bethesda will have taken on some of that feedback from Fallout 4 and offer more ways to play in Fallout 76. And as I said, hopefully. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know any hard truths until someone gives them to us, whether that's through a leak that we can somehow confirm or through information that Bethesda shares with us. As long as we have only unconfirmed leaks or rumors, we still have to acknowledge that they are unconfirmed leaks and rumors, and keep in mind that the truth may be that, or it may be something else entirely. So pretty much right now, we're still in that speculation mode, except for what we see in the trailer. And so far, what I see in that trailer is Fallout. Alrighty, folks. This has been Checkers, just with some thoughts and speculations about Fallout 76 and Bethesda in general. Please feel free to leave comments and share your thoughts and opinions. And yeah. I hope you found the video thought-provoking and maybe even just a little entertaining with our reigning gunners. I would like to invite you to subscribe, like, and share if you so desire, and to ask you, above all, to please take care.